keep it real with ya.
Hey guys, it's me, Minu, back with another video. I'm gonna try to make this video. This is the only time I've made a video that has been scripted where I wrote down the things I want to say. Um, Honestly, like I have so many video ideas and like there's just so many things that I would love to do on this channel that I just can't do um as one person with inconsistent capacity as I like to say. um Most I can commit to is a video a week, though I would love to make so many more videos, but I would need help if I was going to do all of that. um and I just don't have the base to to be able to bring somebody else in. I have to do this all by myself, man. All the ideas, the recording, the editing. And while it may come easy to some people, or they may being a situation where they can afford to do that all day long and pump out great content. I'm not in that situation. I have to work a lot and adult a lot. So what I want to talk about today, I've been meaning to talk about for a few weeks now. I don't really make videos on this channel about language learning because I have a ridiculous amount of anxiety around my abilities in terms of language learning. Um, I will say now I feel like I've done a lot better with my Spanish. Like my reading and writing in terms of Spanish has gotten a lot better. And I would say in terms of Japanese, I'm still at the level. I'm at this weird intermediate level that I've been unable to get past for like the last few years. Unfortunately, I am on Hello Talk, and I am talking to Japanese people who I'm able to communicate with them, and they understand me and they think that I do a great job. So that makes me happy. Um, but if you want me to sit here and talk to you, I will go mute real fast. This actually happened to me when I was in Mexico, and I met my friend's grandmother, and she immediately started talking to me in Spanish and talking really, really fast. And I immediately just went completely mute. Like, I just froze up. It was just like, and just like doing that. And then she was like, tell me, oh, you're so beautiful. Da, 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 da. And I'm just like, and my friend, and I think at some point I said like thank you or something. I managed to get that out, and my friend was like, "Oh, that's so great! You took a compliment." And I was like, "Yeah." I was so like my body like locked up in that moment. It was so much. Um, and so that tends to happen to me. Like I have the thoughts in my head when I'm trying to speak to people, and it don't come out. But in terms of like reading and writing, I do very well. Something that I struggle with in Japanese, and this is in, I don't even know if anyone follows me who speaks Japanese, but something I struggle with is like more complicated sentences. So something like, the fact that you think I'm a great cook makes me happy. Saying something like that in Japanese is real hard for me. Um, and it's like a sentence nestled in a sentence, and it's like I've been stuck on that level for so long. It's very frustrating, and I have a hard time getting over it. But anyway, that's not what I want to talk about, or it is what I want to talk about. I don't know. What I wanted to talk about in this video was the language learning app Link, made by Steve Kaufman, because I've been someone who had been pushing Link in my language learning circles for a while. Everybody was on this mochi mochi shit. I was telling them to go download Link, and I was telling them to even pay for Link. Like I was a big proponent of it for so long, and I had like a yearly subscription and everything. Um and I just fell off, and I wanted to talk about it. So, I've had Link for how many years have I had Link? Probably about 3 years now. And I only have a 222-day streak. Well, I had one. Um, because I would constantly lose my streak due to glitches in the app. Sometimes I could sneak and get it back through glitches in the app. Um, so I would say at the time that I wrote down what I want to say, I hit 222 again. App glitched out. Next thing I know, it's like, oh, you lost your streak. And so many times has this happened before that I used up all of my coins that I had gotten over the 3 years of daily, Japanese practice, I used up all my coins, and I was like, "Oh, this is it. I can't get another streak." And I emailed, um well, no, the last time I lost my streak, I used the last of my coins, and I emailed them saying like, "Hey, like I keep losing my streak because of these app glitches. Could you at least give me my coins back? Because it could cost like, what, how many coins is it? Let me pull up my list real quick. Hold on. It takes 500 coins to get your streak back. And if you do like the lowest amount to get your streak, it'd be like 50 coins. So you get like 50 coins a day. So if you're doing the lowest amount, getting 50 coins a day, it take you 100 days to get enough coins to repair your streak for one day. You know what I mean? That's a lot. That's a lot, and it's very imbalanced, and it's very frustrating. So I was like, can you give me my coins back? And I got a response saying, no, we can't give you your coins back, but next time you lose your streak, just let us know. We'll give you the streak back. Didn't know that. Okay. So, fast forward, some weeks later, it happens again. I say, hey, can you repair my streak? They're like, yep, cool. Few days later, happens again. And I was just like, oh, this is it. I'm done. There's nothing more I can do. I'm so sick of this. Like, I've made it to almost a 500-day streak before, um, and then lost it because I ran out of coins and I had to start all over again. Because of glitches in the app where it'll say that you have reached your streak when really you haven't. Or it'll say you haven't reached your streak when you have. It was very, very inconsistent, and it was very frustrating. So I made it to 222 days before I was like, oh, I'm done. There's nothing more I can do. Um, and that's when I wrote out everything for this video. And then after I wrote out everything for this video, I went to the website on my computer, and surprise, surprise, the computer version of Link suddenly was like, you do have enough coins for this. And so I repaired my streak. I went again for another 40 days or so, got to 262 days, lost my streak, and was like, you know what? You can have it. um, so in an effort to try to stay on track for this video, because I'm very bad at doing that, I have some list of some things that I wanted to go over. Some pros, some cons. I'm going to talk about customer service. I'm talking about UI. I'm talking about all of this stuff. And I will say though, just overall, losing my streak made me feel free. So if that tells you anything, here we go. So some pros that I want to get, and I wrote it on my phone. Okay, some pros that I want to bring up is that Link does work really well with YouTube. Downloading YouTube videos, importing the captions works really well. I've been able to download some YouTubers that I like, and follow along with their stories and everything like that, listening to the video and all that stuff. That's a really good thing. I like the mini stories take you through what is supposed to be the most common words in the language. So you start off with small conversations like hello, who are you. You go up to things like what time it is, and then you eventually get to things like um so and so had an important business meeting. She's hoping that this presentation will get her the promotion that she's been looking for. She goes to tell her boss about it, and he gives her words of advice. It's just because it gets really complicated, but it's good that those are already available to you to take you through. It's like its own course, right? I will say that I originally went through it with Japanese until I got to that point where my brain didn't want to function anymore. I went through it again with Spanish, and I felt that it helped me really grasp the language a lot faster going through those mini stories. So I will say that that is a huge pro that I do appreciate about the app. Um, Another thing that I would say the app has gotten much better at is kanji, on the Japanese side. When I first started using Link a few years ago, the kanji was not making any sense. So there was a lot of things where by the time I started using Link, I was already at this like intermediate level. So there was a lot of things that I was going through where it was separating the word in hiragana from the kanji word, and it was very confusing, and there wasn't a lot of kanji because the app just did not do well with understanding kanji. It will tell you like it'll give you one reading of the kanji, but the story is telling is really supposed to use the other reading of the kanji. When you try to do a test, I would have to test myself on kanji from a specific sentence. Within that sentence, it would be right, but then the second I pressed the word or it tested me on the word, it would be the other version. And it would be very confusing. And so when I would have these tests where you have to figure out like what sound this word is making, or like you have to listen to the sound, you listen to the word, and then you have to choose the appropriate kanji for that word. It would always throw me off because the way that I had learned that kanji was with the other reading of the word. So that was very, very frustrating. And then there was just a lot of areas where they should have used kanji, but they just chose not to. And it just made it hard for me. But I will say, at the point that Link is now, it does way, way better in terms of kanji. There's a lot more kanji in the mini stories. And you get obviously, you get the multiple readings when you save the kanji. Um, versus if you were just saving the hiragana, if you save the kanji, you see the multiple readings of it. And that's very helpful when you're studying because you can see both and you can study both at the same time. So I will say that it has come a long way in that. And I appreciate that. It makes learning Japanese better, more efficient. Um, my other thing is that the customer service is very responsive. They always respond to my emails in a timely manner. It says it's Zoran. I'm not sure if it's actually Zoran or not, but that's like the name that's on the emails. But they are very, very fast. Is I've not had a situation where I've emailed them and I've had to follow up because I didn't hear anything. They are very responsive. Um, I will say I think that I was a little upset about the whole coins thing, but the fact that they were still able to, give me my streak back. I still think that was good. And it took like so many days between those emails. He could have came back and been like, "No, you don't get a streak. What are you talking about?" Like in other companies, but he was like, "Yep, here's your streak back." So very, very responsive in terms of customer service when you're having issues. Okay, that was all my pros. Um, so cons is one of the first cons I put is that it's just not fun. It's just not fun. Like, I don't enjoy using the app either on my phone or on the desktop. There's no version of it for me that is fun to use. For a good comparison, I am almost at 900-day streak on Duolingo. And I know we got a lot to say about Duolingo in terms of Japanese. Yes, it is not that good. But I've been using it for Spanish and it's been very, very helpful for me and I've been learning a lot. Um, and it's very gamified, right? It feels good to go and get that streak. Um, Link doesn't. Link is not fun. Um, I don't feel like opening up the app to do anything. I don't feel incentivized to, go through the flashcards or anything like that. I felt like I had to force myself to open the app all the time. I felt like I even got to a point where I was only using Link because I was trying to keep my streak in Duolingo. I was trying to keep my streak in Link. But instead of actually spending the time in Link to study things, I would just like play a podcast or something through it and get my coins that way. And that's another thing about the coins being inconsistent. Um, I'm gonna get to that point anyway. I'm gonna get to the point in a second. But yeah, like Steve talks about a lot, like how language learning should be fun, but the app itself is not fun. And it's nothing motivating me to want to open that app. Since I've decided to stop using it after I lost my streak last, I thought to myself, because I paid for a year. So I have it until March. I thought, okay, well, now that I know that it's not going to renew, maybe I'll feel incentivized to go back into the app. I went back to the app and I immediately closed it out. I was like, I don't feel like it. And it's not that I don't feel like studying the language. I do a lot of things in Japanese. I watch movies. I have my VPN set to Japan, so I get a lot of Japanese commercials. I talk to Japanese people. I listen to Japanese music. I have a Japanese TV app that I watch TV on with no subtitles. With all the stuff I watch has no subtitles, but I do a lot of stuff in Japanese. It's not that I'm not motivated to learn the language anymore. It's just that this app is not fun. Um, the other thing is the UI is buggy. It's very buggy. It's hard to know like what's going on. Like I mentioned, like there was glitches that would make it seem like I met my goal for the day, and then the next day find out that I didn't meet my streak. I would get notifications that were inconsistent. And I had to complain about this a couple times to customer service because I had it set up to where I would receive notifications reminding me to go in and like study Japanese and get my streak, and those notifications would never come. And we had to fix that. I had issues where I would get notifications on my phone that were just lines of code and not actual messages. And that was really weird. I didn't know what had broken, but it was a consistent thing. It wasn't like just this happened this month. It was a consistent thing that happened over months. I would just randomly get notifications from Link that were broken lines of code. Another thing that I would get issues with would be when I'm listening to a podcast through Link and I would pause it or it would end on its own, like it would run out of time. And the app would not let me remove the notification. Like I would have to hard reset my entire, not hard reset, I have to reset my phone in order to make the notification go away. No amount of opening and closing the app or trying to like force stop the app could help or stop it from doing that. Like I had to reset my phone and then come back to try and get it out of my thing. And it was frustrating because it'll look like I'm like supposed to be listening to something and nothing's playing. Like the link player would just be there and it wouldn't go away. And it was very frustrating. Um, Another part about the UI being buggy that I mentioned earlier was the first time it was like you can't repair your streak, you don't have enough coins, your streak is done. When I went on to the desktop version of Link, suddenly I had enough coins to repair my streak. Why? Why is there a difference there? I don't understand. Um Another thing, no, wait, is it 500 coins or is it 5,000 coins? Oh, hold on. I'm trying to look on the Link website and it's taking forever to load. I just see people reporting errors. Why did the Link app open? I don't want the Link app to open. Okay, so let me rephrase this because I was looking at my thing and it's not 500 coins. You need 5,000 coins to repair your streak. So if you're doing 50, if you're getting 50 coins a day at the lowest amount, 5,000 divided by 50, you have to meet your streak for 100 days. Yeah, that makes sense of what I was saying earlier, but it's actually 5,000. My bad. That's a lot of fucking coins to have to get to repair your streak for one day. One day. And it's not something that's breeding me to be like, that's it's not priming me to be like, ooh, I have to be very consistent and I have to stay on it because if I don't, I'm going to have this huge punishment. It just feels more like a punishment for no reason. Like it feels like when you get in trouble and your parent whoops you, was it really proportional to what you did? Or you can't really say that at this point. Like, oh my god, I spilled some mustard and I got a whooping, now it's all the same. It just doesn't feel like motivating to get something that is that's high. Like I can understand if it was 500, maybe even 500 would be like what, 10 days to get one day. That makes a lot more sense to me than 5,000. That's so many coins. That you have to either pay money to get or you have to spend time on the app to get. Yep. So looking back at the amount of coins that I gathered just from like using the app for years consistently, day, like I said, I almost got to a 500-day streak. So I was getting a lot of coins and I wasn't limiting it to 50. I was going 100, 200, whatever. I lost like 20,000 coins having to repair streaks. Now, sometimes it was my fault. Sometimes I forgot one day and then I had to repair the streak. And I'll take responsibility. But there were several times where the only reason I lost my streak was because the app glitched and it told me that I had met my daily goal. It had the little fire thing on there and it was like, you got it, you did it, you met your goal. And then I come in the next day and it was like, actually, you only had 45 coins. Streak gone. And it's not like I knew anywhere that I could just go and complain and get them to repair the street. Like, no, I consistently went through thousands of coins every single time until I got to the point where there were no more coins to spend before I decided to complain and say, this is a issue in your app. And it wasn't a we're aware of the issue and we're fixing it. It was more so we can't give you your coins back. But next time you lose your streak, we'll give you the streak back. So I was not very happy about that. It took me a very long time. Like, I could never find out how to actually see the amount of coins that I had at a given time. I was on a desktop, I was on a phone, I was reading the forums, and what Link was guiding me to do to see how many coins I had did not work. Now, I could see how many coins I've gotten over the period, like over the year, the 3 years that I was on the app. I could see how many coins I've earned, but I could not see how many coins I had because at this point I had spent 20,000 coins. I had no idea how many coins I actually had left and if I could afford to even miss another day because what they were telling me to do to view how many coins I had, I could never find it. To this day, I've not been able to go into Link's website and see how many coins I have to spend on anything. I just know that I have coins somewhere out there in the ether. Well, not anymore. I just know I have less than 5,000 coins at this point because I couldn't repair my streak. Yeah. And then there was also a lot of times where the website would just glitch out on me, even on a desktop. So there'd be times when I'd be like trying to view the coin, the little coin graph or whatever, and it would just glitch and the page would just never load. And I would try it on multiple different, like I do on my phone, I do it on different browsers. The page just wouldn't load. Or the page would load and part of it wouldn't load. Like the script on the page was like janky somehow. Um, oh, let me drink some water because this part really pissed me off. This part really got me that made me mad. Your streak only applies to one language. Now, when I'm on Duolingo, and I don't know, it could have changed in the past several weeks if there was another update. As of this time, like it was the 5 point, it was the most recent update that Steve had talked about on his channel. But they could have fixed it. But at the time that I could not do it anymore, after 3 years, your streak only applies to one language. So when I decided to start learning Spanish a couple years ago, I could get a streak in Spanish and I would lose my streak in Japanese. So I had to do Spanish and Japanese. And I know some of you would be like, but don't that motivate you to study both? No, no, it don't. People, and I'm telling you this because like I'm a regular person. There's the, I know there's the polyglots out there. Those people have a special circumstance, experience, brain that any of these apps is going to work for them no matter what. A lot of the things about these polyglots that it's not like regular people. They know the exact study method that works for them. They know the exact amount of motivation that works for them. They know what they need to do in order to learn a language because they've done it multiple times. But when you're a regular Joe Schmo and you're trying to learn a language, maybe it's the first, second language that you're trying to learn, you don't know that. You don't have those tips. So we're relying on these apps. We're paying money to these apps to help us get to where we need, trying all these different types of language learning methods. Like you've seen, if you follow Steve on YouTube, he's interviewed multiple polyglots, and almost all of them have a different way to say this is the best way to study a language. Almost all of them disagree about it because they know what works for them specifically. And what works for them specifically does not work for everybody. It just works for people who are like them. And a lot of people don't understand that, and a lot of these polyglots don't tell you that, but they just know what's the appropriate study method for them. Maybe someone with ADHD needs a different study method. Maybe someone with autism needs a different study method. Maybe someone with dyslexia needs a different study method. But a lot of the polyglots say this is the number one best way to learn a language. It's not true. This way, Link's way, is Steve's way. And Steve is already someone who speaks multiple languages. He didn't learn his first, second language from Link. He created Link at a later date, following the things that he found has been helpful for him, which is reading a bunch of books in the language. And don't get me wrong, I also love reading a bunch of books in the language. And I feel like Link had a lot of things that were promising about it, but there's just so many things about the app itself that makes this not work for me. And if it works for you, that's great. It worked for me at a time where I was trying to take a class and I was about to go to Japan and I was trying my best to get as much in my brain as possible in that moment. It worked in that moment. And that's why I was always telling people that this is a great app to use. Um, but it's not working anymore. Outside of that moment, it's not been working. And it's been a struggle with me to use the app, especially when I'm trying to get some type of satisfaction from using the app. And I just went and I just put in, I just did several mini stories in Spanish. My brain's all primed for Spanish. I'm feeling good. I'm about to go watch a Spanish TV show. And then I realized that I need to go do Japanese now, or I'm going to lose my streak before the end of the day. And I done switched my brain up. This is why sometimes I have confusion. Um, in my brain, I have a Japanese sentence that has Spanish words mixed into it. Like, I don't like to learn them at the same time. I want to spend, a couple days here doing Spanish, a couple days there doing Japanese, and flip flop. I don't want to have to do them at the same time every day. And no, it's not the same as doing one in the morning and one in the evening. It's not working for me. Um, Trying to get a streak, you're just going to be disappointed every time because there's so many things that go against you. Um, yeah, after I'd spent time doing Japanese, I would not feel the motivation to go and do Spanish, and vice versa. Another thing that I struggled with was it made me feel like I had to choose between them because I just could not do both, and I wanted to continue to have a streak in Japanese overall because that's the big main language that I'm trying to learn, and Spanish is like a side thing, but I couldn't do both at the same time. That's not how I learned. That's not how my brain works. So it became very, very frustrating. And I had to spend a period where I completely ignored the Japanese side of the app to learn Spanish for my trip to Mexico. And I didn't feel like that was fair because I felt like when I left Spanish to go check on Japanese, I was starting over again every single time. Um, and it's just demoralizing and demotivating. So, in terms of the content now, um, I will say it works very well with YouTube videos as long as the YouTube videos have accurate subtitles. So if you have a YouTube video and they did auto generated captions, that may not be very accurate and you may not want to pull that. I tend to watch Japanese and Spanish videos that don't have subtitles available. And I'm just cool with that because you don't always need to study every single video you watch. You could just watch a video because you enjoy the content without having to download it and study what the people are saying because you'll pick it up eventually. Um, and so the subtitles have to be accurate. Netflix don't work right. Netflix used to work right because in the past I could go to someone else's like playlist and I could like download whatever Netflix video that they had already downloaded because they'd already went through the effort of paying for Netflix, going into Netflix, downloading the transcript, aka the captions. Use some of them are auto generated. A lot of a lot of Japanese movies that don't have English subtitles will have auto generated Japanese subtitles. So it's still not the best, but they would go through the work of downloading that, importing it into Link. And I could go and I could download that and I could take it with me. So in the past, I've downloaded some Japanese movies. I've downloaded the Spanish version of the Jason movies, the Friday the 13th movies, and we was Gucci. I didn't have to pay for Netflix because I couldn't afford Netflix at the time. I don't know when it changed, but now I can't like download people's playlists. Like it doesn't allow me to do it. It looks like you can do it, but it never works. Whether I'm on my phone or I'm on the desktop, it just never works to download someone else's transcript now. And I don't know why. But in order for me to make it work, I literally would have to go and pay Netflix, which I ended up doing. I went to pay Netflix to go into the captions of these things and pull them myself over the link, and then I could use them. But whenever I would save someone else's playlist and try to open it to study it, it would not open anything for me. It'd be blank. And that was very, very frustrating. And I don't know if that was because maybe Netflix came after them or something, or maybe it just they decided they didn't want that to be able to happen anymore. But when you are downloading someone, like if someone did like a YouTube video, free content, it works just fine. But with Netflix videos, it no longer works. And I don't know why. And even if you go about doing all of that and paying Netflix to get those transcripts, you're still going to run into the issue of like these movies that you wanted to get the transcript of. A lot of them had auto generated captions. So it's kind of frustrating that I no longer could do that. I don't know what happened that I could no longer do it, but I just can't do it anymore. And that's disappointing because there's a lot of great content on Netflix um, in terms of Japanese content.